So, longtime Browns beat reporter Tony Grossi talking about how the Browns handle quarterback situation in OTAs and training camp.
Is there going to be a quarterback competition, or is he going to name a QB1? And when will that decision be made? Like, not until after OTAs?
Yeah, until he sees Watson and Shedeur, for that matter. He's got to hand them his playbook and see how they digest it. That's part of it too, especially that position. Monken hasn't been through this with Shedeur and Gabriel and Watson, for that matter. So I don't think we're going to hear that, Riz, until even the conclusion of minicamp. I mean, at the start of training camp.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He'll be ready to. Or which would you prefer, Tone? The competition, or would you rather have a starter named and go from there?
Oh, I think in this case, it's I don't like competitions, but it should be a competition.
Tone, even I, who love Shedeur, I want to see him win the job.
So, Scott, I play that to ask this question. If you're Andrew Berry, don't you have to ask Todd Monken, is there a quarterback on our roster or a veteran or somebody in the draft that you feel you can win with? And then you try to go find that guy.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I don't know if I'm in the minority here. I don't know if I'm wrong. I keep thinking they're going to add somebody to that group, whether that's, a big trade or a free agent signing. Somebody relatively significant. I think it could be. I think it could just be somebody less significant that you add to the pile because you're not completely satisfied with the three guys, or you don't trust that Watson's going to stay healthy. And if he doesn't, well, you need another veteran around this roster because it can't, at that position, because you can't just have Sanders and Gabriel. Or do you add somebody in the draft? I think that's feasible too. Now, I don't think it'll be at 6 or probably not even 24, but could you do it in the second round? Sure. You could add somebody in the draft because you got to keep taking swings at this. And unless you're convinced organizationally that Shedeur Sanders is the answer, and I'm not saying that he could be the answer, unless you're convinced right now that he is the answer, then I think you have to keep adding guys to this group, which then maybe it gets a little more cloudy, but I think that's okay, given you don't have, in my opinion, the for sure number one guy. And I like Shedeur, and I think he's got a chance. But I don't think after 7 games you can say for sure that he's the guy, and he's going to win 11 games for you in 2026. I just don't think we saw enough. So, will there be a competition? I don't know. I think it would be ideal if Monken at least knew who his number one guy was going to be. You don't have to announce that he's your starter, but at least you go into the offseason or minicamp or whatever with a guy in mind. And maybe that changes. If they sign Malik Willis, then I think you bring him in and he's the guy, right? If you draft a guy in the second round, then you probably proceed through the offseason thinking it's going to be Shedeur Sanders, but with an outlet if Sanders doesn't take to Monken's offense or whatever it is. You don't crown him the QB1 and then take it away from him, but you proceed hoping that whoever it is can hold down that job.
Yeah, I just feel like you hired Monken because he's an offensive mind. You kind of got to lean into what he thinks of the quarterbacks.
I completely agree. I also don't think Todd Monken took this job without having expressed that. Now maybe he loves Shedeur, and we find that out. But I don't think Todd Monken came in and the Browns said, hey, these are the 3 guys you're going to have to live with. And Monken goes, I don't like any of them. And they're like, yeah, well, you're going to have to live with them. I just don't think that's how they started it. So if Monken said, hey, I'll give these guys a look, or let's see how the draft and free agency go. I would love to add somebody. I certainly think Monken should and will have a sizable say in what happens at that quarterback spot.